Hello and welcome to the Random Wrestling Revue's latest episode of our local to global series. And we've just obviously done the big Seasons Beating show, which was a big deal. Lots of things happening. Feedback has been extremely positive. It was apparently a great show for them, according to the report. Just a recap of what took place. Dan Severn successfully defended the RWR Northwest title against CM Punk in a really great match. Dave Bautista defeated the Shadow, and Shadow had to unmask, therefore revealing James Storm after nearly 18 months of him being under the mask. Then Red Alert defeated Samoa Violence Connection to win the Northwest Tag Team title, so we have new tag team champions in the company as well. It was a great show, but we set our sights now on the Millennium Party, which is our next show. It's a free show, and so we're hoping for our biggest ever attendance. That's what we're hoping for anyway. Before we go there, though, I've got a signing to make, and I've been thinking about this for a little bit of time. I've considered lots of different potential signings. I mean, on my mind has been Brian Christopher. I even looked at Dick Togo briefly, Dave Finlay. All wrestlers that would have been a good idea, and I like kind of had ideas for them, but I got to a point where actually I need somebody who's a little bit cheaper. I need somebody who's a little bit cheaper, and because actually, if you look at our finance, we lost money in November, and this month we spent a lot of money on our talent, and we're about to do a free show. So I think we're going to lose a fair amount of money in December as well, which isn't a major problem. I'm not overly concerned by it, but I don't want us to be insolvent. And so I have landed on Rex King as the person that I am going to be bringing in for this. In fact, that might now change because he's not oh no, he is available. No, he's okay. I was going to say he's not available on the date that I want, but he is available. So no, Rex King is going to be the guy we're going to bring in. One of the reasons for this is, first of all, he is cheap. 230 per show. That's not too much money. He's got a decent level of popularity everywhere because of his past in the WWE, and obviously he's on television for WWC now, who are pretty big promotion in game world. But the other reason is that I just recently WWE have uploaded on YouTube a WWE Vault show from October 1994, which is of particular interest to me because that's the time when I got into professional wrestling. And so it was really nostalgic and I really wanted to watch it. And I watched it, and Well Done, who Rex King was in a tag team with, don't know if he was Stephen Dunn or Timothy Well. I think he might have been Timothy Well, but they were in a tag team match with the Bushwhackers on that show. And I just thought, actually, I've seen him on the game. I've gone past him on the game a few times. And I just thought, yeah, I actually like the idea of this guy coming in. He's going to be uh, the 18th member of our roster, and obviously the heel that we need to balance out the roster because now we've got 9 of both baby faces and heels. But let's not talk about that for too much longer. I have already booked in the Millennium Party, which is in 19 days' time, the last day of 1999. Thankfully, there are no shows on that night that conflict with mine in terms of personnel that we've got that we want to appear on the show. So it just felt like perfect. That's exactly what we want to do here. Last night of the Millennium, last um, sort of moment of the previous century, the previous millennium, and in we go with this massive Millennium Party show for free. And hopefully, we get more than, I think it's 147 or something like that we got for our last free show. This will be Rex King and his signing complete. I'm just quickly checking the news, see if there's anything significant. There is not. So we continue on to the next show, and hopefully, what I'm really hoping, honestly, for this episode, is that not only do we get the Millennium Party show in, but we also get the end of year awards for 1999. I do like to have a look at those and see what's going on in the game world because it's pretty significant. Different to what we had in real life, and I'm finding the game world that's emerged bizarre, as you might imagine, but also fascinating. So we will hopefully have time to take a look at that as well. But yeah, if you've been enjoying this series, then please subscribe. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the episode, and if you enjoy the episode as we go along, then please do hit the like button as well. All of that really, really helps. I'm really proud of this series. I think it's been really great, and I've really enjoyed doing it. And I continue to maintain my philosophy on this series of not planning too far ahead. I think that was a big problem in the past for me was planning too far ahead with the WCW save, for example, that I did last year. And I just got to the point where I was so far ahead of myself in terms of planning that it felt like quite a chore to get to that point, to get to the point that I'd planned to in the future, because I was really excited by that story that I had planned to do in such a long way in the future. So this way, by not planning too much ahead, by only planning like one show ahead now is really where I am, mainly since we've been doing two events per month. I'm finding this to be much more kind of fulfilling and keeping me interested and working out the problems as we go. And for this Millennium Party show, we're not putting on this. We're treating this as kind of a B show because it's a free show, right? It's a show we're giving away tickets for free. So it's not like we've got any major matches on this. We've got the main event is going to be a 10-man tag match. It's going to see Dan Severn, Dave Batista, Buddy Wayne, Keith Hart, and Billy Kidman against CM Punk, James Storm, Mark Henry, Chris Adams, and Rex King, the new heel who's coming in specially for this show. We've got four other singles matches as well on the show, and we're going to explain one or two bits and pieces as well. What's this piece of news? Another financial warning for Omega. I said I would keep an eye on that, and I probably will do, although I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's any value to us buying the company, which is a shame. Other than maybe their titles, I quite like the idea of bringing in new titles, but we are not in the most. We're not in the strongest financial position at the moment, although we do have 2,000 profit at the moment for this month, although that obviously will change with the show we're about to run. Before we go any further, though, I do also want to change the Shadow because he is changing, obviously, back to James Storm. How do I? Is there a way for me to just go back? Yeah. For some reason I can't just. Yeah, but this should change as well. I don't know why that's not changing. I've never really got the whole alter ego stuff, but it doesn't matter. So James Storm is coming back. Everyone will be happy to know. I think we'll give him that picture still. I think it's still early enough in his career for that picture. Um, so James Storm will be back in the company um, without the mask, of course. So that's another significant thing. Let's also just check Rex King in terms of his disposition. So I don't want him working babyface. I want him working heel. And therefore his gimmick. Now, the gimmick I was going to give him was kind of like a Rick Martel sort of loves himself kind of thing. So, um, yeah, I don't know, arrogant. Um, I don't know what's the word. Loves himself. I think that's what we'll just call him. Call his gimmick. Loves himself. Cannot do dominant comedy, badass, legitimate, Weasley, offbeat. What can he do? I think we'll just go with a standard gimmick, and we'll make it. We'll put it there. Um, so that's what Rex King's going to be doing in his role here. I don't know what he was like in 1999 because obviously he was mainly in the WWE in the mid 1990s. So I don't know whether he was at all good or still even wrestling in reality in this late in the timeline. But all good. We've actually booked an actual place. Is that the first time we've booked an actual venue rather than just a generic venue? Hang on. Show history. So all these were Northwest, even open doors. Yeah, so this is actually the first show that by default is going to be, or the default has been created as being a Marshall Center. Let's just take a look. It's got 300 capacity. So presumably the game thinks we have a chance of getting that many people in, which is really exciting. So let's get them book this show. We start with Sean Stasiak's latest match, and he's going up against Ace Steel. We'll make this reasonably long. Sean Stasiak's going to win. Pinfall, and we'll work the crowd for this one as well. start off the show. I think that would be a very good start to the show. Just actually a quick look at our rankings, because Stasiak's quite high in the rankings at the moment. Dan Severn, obviously the champion, 5 wins from 5 since winning the championship at the luck of the draw on his debut show. Then Charlie Haas is now our number 1 contender, having amassed 10 points over the course of his career. As you can see, he's lost way more than that. But because of the way our ranking systems work, where you get a point for every match that you win, and then you only lose your points if you have a title match and lose the title match, he is now on 10 points and is currently in the number 1 contenders slot. Stasiak is behind him on 9. They've got Barry Buchanan on 8, Chris Adams and Ace still on 6, Mark Henry and Dave Batista on 5, both of whom, of course, had lost a point previously, deducted through being penalised for bad behaviour. Billy Gibbons on 3, Buddy Wayne on 2, James Storm, Chemo, Keith Hart, Ekman, and CW Anderson on 1. CM Punk obviously just lost his title match with Dan Severn, which is why he's got 0 points now. And Teddy Hart, who has yet to get a victory in the company, is on 0 as well. So Stasiak versus Steele is how we start stuff. And then we get the first big angle, and it's Woman and James Storm coming out to talk about the fact that he's obviously James Storm was behind the mask of the Shadow for the entirety of the last 18 months. Woman explains Storm signed a new 1-year contract in July, which was guaranteed, which is why RWR haven't sacked James Storm for having not lived up to the pre-match stipulation of Storm's bout at, I think, the 4th anniversary show, or the 3rd anniversary show, actually, I think it was, where he lost a match where the stipulation was he had to leave the company. And then Storm brags he'll be champion. He'll convince management to keep him. Storm says he'll convince. I don't know how to fit this in. He'll convince people. I don't know. I don't know how to say this. Storm says he'll be sticking around. After that, no. After, that'll be fine. After. So this is a reasonably long segment. Woman's going to be talking about the fact that the reason James Storm hasn't been fired from Random Wrestling Revue is that they were clever enough to negotiate a new 1-year deal in July of last year, and that was guaranteed for that 12-month period, and so James Storm cannot be sacked. And James Storm says that at the end of that contract, at the end of July, the Random Wrestling Revue management will be convinced to keep him for further on beyond that point. We'll go into a bit more detail about that in when I run through the show. Now that promo is going to be countered here by Bruce Hart, the owner of the company, of course, who is going to say that he's going to reveal the punishment for Storm, which is a 5-point deduction in the rankings. So kind of a big angle here, 10 minutes of an angle here for our non-paying fans to sit through. But this is ultimately important for us to address, because obviously James Storm lost a Loser Leaves Random Wrestling Revue match to Kid Chaos back at the 3rd anniversary show a long time ago. I mean, if you look at it in terms of our show history, it's all the way down here when he lost that match. And then he returned, or he made his first debut under the mask as the Shadow in November 98. We are now at the end of 99. So it's been over a year, not quite 18 months, but over a year since he's been under the mask. So we need to kind of, now that Storm's been unmasked and it's been revealed that he was under the mask, there needs to be some kind of repercussion for him having kind of not lived up to that stipulation. So then next we're going to have Charlie Haas versus Chemo in a singles match. We're going to make this one at 8 minutes, and Chemo's going to get the win. We'll give it a tainted win here, I think. Pinfall victory. After that, we got another singles match. This one will be a bit more of a squash. Barry Buchanan takes on Teddy Hart. Make it 6 minutes. I don't think that Teddy would last too long with Barry Buchanan. We're still in that place where kind of Teddy Hart is like a complete rookie, and he's trying to get the experience, and he's trying to be given the experience of professional wrestling by his uncle Bruce. Speaking of his uncles, Keith Hart's in the main event. Sorry, I was about to say we haven't got him in a match, but we have. He's going to be in the main event. Then another singles match, C.W. Anderson against the other member of the Samoan Violence Connection, ECMO. In this one, ECMO is going to win. Let's make it 11 minutes. Oh, I've done it the wrong way around, haven't I? Okay, well, that's fine. We'll move them about. So, yeah, in this case, ECMO is going to win. And we'll give it a flash pinfall finish in that one. We'll actually make this the storytelling match as well, just to fulfill that particular need. But I'm going to swap the places of these two matches. So this one is going to come down one. So I don't want them to be back to back. Then we're going to have an angle, and it's going to be Bruce Hart, Charlie Haas. In fact, we'll have him acting for this, and Sean Stasiak. And what's going to happen is Hart comes to ring with Stasiak, and a coin toss is performed to determine new. You know what? That's going to be too long. Stasiak and Haas wins a coin toss to determine next challenger to Severin. This is how this is going to go. Basically, after the match, Bruce Hart's going to ask Charlie Haas to stay in the ring. He's going to call out Sean Stasiak, and he's going to say that in 2 weeks' time at our next show, the RWR Northwest title will be on the line. Dan Severn has asked for another opponent. He says that after tonight's results, Sean Stasiak and Charlie Haas both have 10 points, despite Charlie Haas's loss. Both have 10 points in the rankings. And so Bruce says we're going to, in order to determine Severin's next challenger, because he doesn't want to pick, he wants it to be completely impartial. He's still trying to prove himself as champion. that the challenger is going to be determined by a coin toss. Charlie Haas is going to win that coin toss, and he will face Dan Severn on the next show. And then the main event, 5 versus 5, if we can do it, which we should be able to do. Yes, we can. 5 versus 5. So it's Dan Severn, Dave Batista, Buddy Wayne, Keith Hart, and Billy Kidman against CM Punk, James Storm, Mark Henry, Chris Adams, and Rex King. In fact, we might need to do an angle here to introduce Rex King, I feel. Certainly don't want to go longer than 15 minutes because our fans don't really like that. I think that the that's right, the babyface is going to win. It's going to be Buddy Wayne is going to pin Rex King in Rex King's first ever match, his debut match. We'll make it slow build as well, since it's 15 minutes. Rex King is unhappy. That's fine. We're going to protect. No, keep strong. Rex King here with that loss. He's okay with that. We've taken enough time. We're not going to be penalized. Analysis is fine. So I was going to just, you know what? I'm not going to make a big thing of introducing Rex King in his debut. That's fine. We're just going to kind of, he can just be introduced, and he can be cocky as he comes to the ring in front of this new crowd. And we can do some more things with him as we go on. So I think that's fine. I think everything's good. This is going to be an expensive show, though. We've got literally everybody on the show. We're going to have Bill Alfonso obviously out there with Mark Henry. Woman's in a segment. We've also got all the other wrestlers are taking part in the match. Even Bruce Hart's on the show a couple of times. So pretty much everybody who works for us, well, everybody who works for us is on this show. Yeah, every single one. So expensive show, but nonetheless free show, and one that we're really hoping for a record crowd here. So let's see what happens. 164 people in the Marshall Center, so it has gone over the 147 mark. That's exciting. It's great. We've got a new record. I was hoping for a little bit closer to 300, given that we actually hired the Marshall Center for this one. But still, 164 in the crowd, biggest crowd we've ever done. And it starts with a brilliant match, a segment rating of 41. Sean Stasiak defeats Ace Steel in 11 minutes 49 by pinfall. Actually, neither at their best, their absolute peak for this one. Stasiak's had 39s, I think, before. Steele's had a little bit higher than 35. But together, two of our most over wrestlers in a match with one another. A segment rating of 41, a great way to start this free show for the masses. Then we get Woman and James Storm come out for their big promo where they talk about the fact, as we said, that James Storm is not going to be fired from the Random Wrestling Revue, despite all of the rumor that had been swirling around since Storm was revealed to be under the mask of the Shadow. She says the reason for that is that back in July, they had the wherewithal, they had the foresight to get the Shadow, as it was at the time, a guaranteed contract until the end of July 2000. And so James Storm is going to be sticking around at least for the time being. James Storm then brags that not only will he be sticking around till July, but before that point, the Random Wrestling Revue management will be offering him another contract. He guarantees it. He says that I will convince them to keep me around so long as I want to. That's if I don't take my talents elsewhere. So a segment rating here of 48, a fantastic segment. Women clearly enjoyed having the freedom to go off script and perform well. James Storm did not do well with that script to follow, but a fantastic, fantastic segment here between these two. Then Bruce Hart comes out and he says that whilst they are correct, James Storm will be sticking around in RWR until July. He says that there are other ways in which James Storm can be punished for what happened. And he says that they are going to give James Storm a 5-point deduction in the ranking system. And he says that he knows that the fans will be saying, well, that's not a big deal because James Storm only has 1 point at the moment, so he will go down to 0. And Bruce Hart says, actually, in fact, we're going to have, for the first time, a wrestler with minus points. So James Storm now has minus 4 points in the ranking system, and says that he welcomes James Storm trying to convince him that they need to keep him when he's going to be so far down the rankings, even by July, when his contract comes up. I haven't explained that as well as I'd like to, but that's basically it. Bruce Hart comes out and announces that James Storm's got a 5-point deduction in the ranking system, taking him down to minus 4 points. Segment rating here, 34. Bruce Hart did well, although says struggled when going off script, but I think a segment rating of 34 is still fine. So then we have C.W. Anderson versus ECMO in the second match of the night. ECMO wins this one in 10:55 by pinfall with a roll-up. Segment rating of 31, which is perfectly decent. C.W. Anderson was a 30. He's obviously increased his popularity since becoming one half of the tag team champions, and that's showing there in his performance. ECMO remains at a 29, and I feel like ECMO's reached his ceiling and he's not improved much in a while, so that's something to think about going forward. Then we have Barry Buchanan versus Teddy Hart. Barry Buchanan basically wins this squash match with an axe kick in 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Segment rating here of 32. Barry Buchanan is quite high in the rankings, and this will not hurt him with another victory here, obviously. Teddy Hart seemed off his game, which meant he only got a 22, but the segment rating was strong enough anyway. Then Charlie Haas versus Chemo, a segment rating here of 43. So an absolutely excellent match, one of the best matches we've had in company history. Chemo wins in 8:23 by pinfall with a handful of tights. Charlie Haas got an in-ring performance of 34, which is really good from him, but Chemo still at 48, one of the most popular wrestlers in the company, and that's because of his exposure nationally in the WWF because he works for the WWF as well as us. Charlie Haas was actually really off his game for this one, but still managed the 34 and the segment rating of 43. It meant this match could have been even better if Charlie Haas was in better form. After this match, Bruce Hart comes out. Charlie Haas is still kind of a little bit, annoyed about the fact that he just lost the last match. But Bruce Hart comes out and asks Charlie to stay in the ring. He then brings out Shawn Stasiak and he tells the two of them that after tonight's results, both Stasiak and Haas have 10 points in the ranking system. He says that Dan Severn has requested a new challenger for him on the next show in January, which tickets are available, by the way, to all the people who've got free tickets for this one. And he says that he's about to do a coin toss because Dan Severn doesn't want to pick which of these guys he faces. He wants to be completely impartial as he continues to try and prove himself as the rightful Northwest champion because of the strange way in which he came in and won the title on his first night in the company. Bruce Hart executes the coin toss, and Charlie Haas is the victor, meaning that Charlie Haas will face Dan Severn at the next show. Shawn Stasiak is angry and a little bit frustrated and walks off, cursing him under his breath, shaking his head, annoyed that he's missed out on another opportunity here. However, of course, he stands to be the default number one contender when that match plays out between Severn and Haas, and the winner will face likely Shawn Stasiak after that point. Charlie Haas was very poor when trying to improvise dialogue, as I've been today, so apologies for that. But Shawn Stasiak improvised well throughout the segment and also hinted at that heel turn, which has been going, that hinting has been going for quite some time now. Segment rating of 34, pretty decent this. Then the main event, the 10-man tag match, a fantastic heat and good wrestling. Severn, Batista, Wayne, Hart, and Kidman beat Punk, Storm, Henry, Adams, and Rex King when Buddy Wayne pinned Rex King. The end of this match, effectively, and I meant to go to the booking screen to sort something out here, which I didn't do before this, which is annoying. But anyway, the end of this match is that basically Rex King looks about to win the match until Billy Kidman manages to prevent him doing so with an enziguri, and Buddy Wayne capitalizes on it and gets the pin. What I'm going to do, am I going to do something? No, I'm not going to do anything. That's the way the match is going to end. I was going to add a story line, which is Rex King and Billy Kidman coming out of this match. We'll get to it instead in another time. But second rating for 38, not amazing. Rex King was a 40, so he's going to add some real value to us. Punk was a 43, James Storm a 42. Some really good wrestlers there. Batista 37, 36 for Dan Severn and for Chris Adams, one of his better performances. In general, most of those ratings are where I'd expect them to be or better, so happy with that. And Rex King's Loves Himself gimmick has got an initial rating of very good, so that's also a real positive. That's the end of the show. Arguably our biggest show of all time, given that we had 164 people at it. And I apologize, today I've just felt like I've not been as articulate as I normally would be. So if you felt that too, I apologize. Overall rating of 39. We've increased our popularity everywhere. We're going to give Rex King pointing out as a good example because he lost the match he didn't want to. I mean, I'm not going to go mad about that. Woman compliment on a good performance. This angle was excellent. I think we also should give Charlie Haas a compliment, even though he was off his game, still performed really well. And so I'm really pleased with Charlie Haas's progress. Now, I anticipate us going over time a little bit here, but I think that given if you've made it all this way in this episode, you deserve just a little bit of bonus. So we're going to look at the end of year results anyway, despite the fact that I usually like to keep these to a half hour per episode. We also will look at Starrcade 99 as well in terms of what happened there. So bit of elongated show. Let's start with Starrcade 99. Hugh Morris defeated Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Randy Savage in a four-way match to retain the World Heavyweight title. 76 rated match. Ric Flair versus Sting in 73 rated match. WWR are in trouble. Their product's in the toilet. The champion is Hugh Morris, but even the stars they've got left are not now performing at the level they previously did, and they don't look to have anybody coming up who looks special in this company, and that's a real concern as well. So I think WCW are in quite a lot of trouble at this point in time. You can see Wrestler of the Year is Owen Hart. He is still, I think, the WWF World Heavyweight Champion. He is indeed. And look at these matches. I mean, this year, all above 90, apart from one match against the Brooklyn Brawler. Everything else, at least an 89 or an 88 here. Owen Hart defeated Steve Austin in your house in December in '99. Big Show in on Raw in '95. Bret Hart in '99. Undertaker in '99. Bret Hart at 100. I imagine that might be match of the year, but he also did 100 here alongside Bret and Ahmed Johnson. He has had a phenomenal year and is unsurprisingly wrestler of the year. Company of the year is the WWF. I think they've won that every year so far for the 5th time. Tag Team of the Year, Shawn Michaels and Diesel, two dudes with attitude. Their 2nd time in a row, I think they've won that one. Match of the Year comes from Bret, Ahmed, and Owen Hart at Maze in Your House, which we did just see. Show of the Year was the Survivor Series, 99. Young Wrestler of the Year is I can't even say that. I can't even say that name. Luxor? No idea how to say it. He's the Wrestler of the Year. I don't know anything about this guy. I've never even heard of him. I've never even seen his name written down before. That's why I can't even attempt to read that name. Anyways, 24-year-old Hispanic Mexican male wrestler, 6 years of experience, young wrestler of the year. Veteran wrestler of the year is Ric Flair at 50 years old. 4th time he's won the trophy, but I really believe his performances in the last year have actually decreased. Female wrestler of the year was Akira Hakoto again for the 5th time. She's won that every single year in the game, in our save so far. Most improved company of the year is the UWA. So their growth continues. Let's just take a look at that growth. Here's Mexico. So that's not that grown that much, actually. I wonder if they've just grown big time in certain parts of them. And now that's gone down as well. Oh, no, hang on. Let's have a look. So actually, yeah, the Mid-South, they've seen real growth in Mid-South in the USA. So they're obviously expanding into the US for the first time. They don't seem to have any popularity anywhere else. I'm a bit surprised they won that award, but anyway, they're most improved company of the year. Independent wrestler of the year is Billy Gunn. Okay, fair enough. Let's just have a look at what he's done. I mean, he has had some really good matches. Obviously, beat Brian Christopher in the main event of USWA there. He seems to be contracted to WWF on a handshake deal, so also works for WWC and the USWA. Manager of the year is Victor Quinones. 2nd time he's won the trophy. I think that's the 2nd time of the year in a row. Sorry. Announcer of the year is Jim Ross, and that is once again the 5th time he's won it. And the color commentator of the year is Jerry Lawler. I think it says that's the 1st time he's won it. I don't know. Referee of the year Charles Robinson as well. So that's all the awards, and that is another year in the books. Let's just take a look at us. We have got now a 15-sized popularity in the Northwest. We are inching closer and closer to that 17 that we need to become a tiny-sized wrestling promotion, having started with absolutely zero popularity anywhere. We've got a couple of 4s in Canada as well. A little tiny bit in Mexico, and that's it. I don't think there's been really spilled anywhere else, our popularity. But yeah, 15 in the Northwest. That's really cool. Financially, we lost 2.2K in December 99. Nothing to worry about, because that was largely, I think, due to the fact that we didn't obviously sell any tickets for the free show, the Millennium Party. When we get back for our next episode, we will start to head into the new millennium, into the year 2000. I have planned the next show, I should say. Sorry, I've planned the next show, but I haven't. I've got to set up the I don't know what's going to be called. I've got to set it up in the game. So yeah, we'll be back for that one very shortly. But if you've watched today and you're still with us, sort of 4 minutes into this video, thanks very much, and we'll catch you next time.